He the new janitor. The morning sun pierced through the tall glass windows of St. Alden's International High School in the heart of Berlin. Students from all over Europe rushed through the halls, designer backpacks, loud laughter, and the smell of perfume everywhere. Then, quietly, a man in a faded uniform pushed a cleaning cart down the corridor. His name was Yusuf. He was in his mid-30s, soft-spoken, with kind brown eyes and a neatly trimmed beard. Every morning, he arrived before dawn to mop floors and wipe the walls covered in graffiti, insults, jokes, and names he'd never cared to know. "Morning, janitor," sneered Lucas, the school star football player, tossing an empty soda can toward Yusuf. Yusuf smiled politely. "Good morning," he said, bending to pick it up. Behind Lucas, his friends burst into laughter. "Look, the prayer man's working again. Maybe he'll pray the floors clean." They howled. Yusuf said nothing. He just kept cleaning, whispering quietly, "Patience, ya Allah, patience." Later that day, during lunch, a few of the teachers spoke in hushed tones about the new Muslim janitor. Strange how someone like him ended up here. You can tell he's not from around here. "Probably an immigrant," another replied, sipping coffee. "They take anything they can get." What they didn't know was that Yusuf had graduated top of his class in engineering from a prestigious university. But after arriving in Europe, no one wanted to hire a Muslim with a beard and a foreign-sounding name. And so, he took this job, quietly, with dignity. That evening, as the empty halls echoed with his footsteps, Yusuf paused by the window. Outside, he could see the glowing skyline of Berlin, a city that never really accepted him. Still, he whispered, "Everything has its time." The next week, the bullying got worse. Every morning, Yusuf arrived early, but it didn't matter how spotless he kept the corridors, the students made sure to undo his work. Trash scattered deliberately, water spilled by accident, and gum pressed beneath desks like hidden landmines. It was as if tormenting him had become a daily ritual. "Hey, janitor!" Lucas shouted one morning, surrounded by his friends, Mila, Jonas, and Tariq, who laughed just to fit in. "We missed the spot down there." He pointed at the floor, where there was nothing to clean. Yusuf calmly glanced at it. "It's clean," he said quietly. "Oh, I guess your eyes are broken too," Mila mocked, pulling out her phone. "Say hi to TikTok, janitor." They started recording, forcing Yusuf into the frame while pretending to trip and spill juice on the floor. "Oops, clean that too." The juice splashed across his trousers. A few students nearby giggled, whispering. But Yusuf didn't react. He took a rag from his cart, knelt down, and began wiping the floor, his eyes lowered, his face expressionless. Lucas smirked. "Man, he doesn't even fight back. Probably scared." Jonas added, "He's Muslim, bro. They only act tough in movies." Yusuf stood up slowly, his eyes meeting theirs, calm, but not weak. "Maybe one day you'll learn that strength isn't about shouting." The students went silent for a moment, but then burst into laughter again as they walked away. Later that evening, Yusuf sat in the janitor's closet eating dates and leftover bread for iftar. He'd been fasting all day. He scrolled through his phone, a message from his father. "How are things, my son? Remember who you are and why you're there. Soon it will be time." Yusuf smiled faintly, typing back, "I'm fine, Baba. Just learning patience." He placed his phone away and looked up, the fluorescent light flickering above him. For a second, a shadow crossed his face, not of fear, but of quiet power.
A few days passed, and something changed. The school principal, Mr. Weber, walked into the staff lounge holding a letter. "This came for the new janitor," he said, raising an eyebrow. "International seal, quite official looking." The teachers glanced at it curiously. "Maybe a charity request," one muttered. Mr. Weber shrugged. "Strange. It's marked confidential." He left it on Yusuf's cart for him to collect. When Yusuf found it, he slipped it quietly into his pocket, unread, and returned to work. But the envelope, with its embossed crown and crescent seal, didn't go unnoticed. By afternoon, the rumor had already begun. "Did you hear? The janitor's hiding something," whispered Mila in the cafeteria. Jonas snorted. "Yeah, like a terrorist letter?" Tariq frowned. He was half Turkish himself. "You shouldn't say that, man." Jonas rolled his eyes. "Relax. I'm just saying, nobody gets fancy mail when they're cleaning toilets." By the end of the day, half the school had heard the story. Some said Yusuf was part of a secret Islamist group. Others said he was on the run. And one curious rumor, started by Nora, a quiet scholarship student, said something else. "I don't think he is who we think he is," she whispered to a friend. "I saw him outside once. A black car dropped him off. The driver called him sir." Her friend laughed. "Are you sure you weren't dreaming?" "I know what I saw," Nora said firmly. The rumor spread online through group chats and voice notes. Even Lucas, scrolling through his phone that night, paused when he read a post. "The janitor might be rich or dangerous. No one knows." He smirked and texted back to his group chat. "We'll find out tomorrow." Meanwhile, alone in his small apartment, Yusuf sat at his desk. The envelope lay open before him. The message inside was short, written in elegant Arabic calligraphy. "The board has approved your father's European partnership. They await your signature." He smiled faintly, folded it neatly, and whispered, "Almost time, Baba."
The next morning, the air inside St. Alden's High felt different, charged, restless. Word of the mysterious janitor had spread far beyond the school's walls. Students were waiting for something to happen. And Lucas was determined to make it happen. During lunch, Yusuf was cleaning near the courtyard when he noticed a crowd forming. Lucas and his crew stood in the middle, holding a phone on live stream. "There he is!" Lucas called out, his voice carrying across the courtyard. "The famous janitor with royal mail. Tell us, bro, are you cleaning floors for fun or spying for your rich Muslim friends?" The crowd erupted in laughter. Phones came out, screens flashing. Yusuf froze. Dozens of faces stared at him, some mocking, some curious, some uncomfortable. "I'm just doing my job," Yusuf said quietly. Mila stepped forward, smirking. "Then why do you get secret letters, huh? Maybe the terrorists pay you extra for mopping?" Her words sliced through the air like knives. Even some students who had laughed before went silent now. It was too far. Nora, standing at the back, clenched her fists. "Stop it, Mila. You don't even know him." "Oh, shut up, charity girl," Lucas snapped. He snatched the cleaning bucket and tipped it over, dirty water splashing across Yusuf's shoes. "Oops, guess the janitor needs to clean again." Everyone gasped. The phone camera zoomed in. Yusuf didn't move for a moment. Then, slowly, he bent down, righted the bucket, and began gathering his things. But this time, his hands trembled slightly. He stood up straight and looked Lucas dead in the eye. His voice was low, steady. "You think wealth makes you powerful, Lucas, but I promise you, you'll soon see what true power looks like." Lucas smirked. "Is that a threat, janitor?" Yusuf turned away, his eyes calm but glinting. "No, just a fact." As he walked off, the courtyard buzzed, half laughter, half uneasy silence. That night, Lucas uploaded the video with the caption, "When your janitor thinks he's a king." He had no idea how close to the truth he really was. The next morning, the air inside St. Alden's High felt different, charged, restless.
Word of the mysterious janitor had spread far beyond the school's walls. Students were waiting for something to happen, and Lucas was determined to make it happen. During lunch, Yusuf was cleaning near the courtyard when he noticed a crowd forming. Lucas and his crew stood in the middle, holding a phone on live stream. "There he is!" Lucas called out, his voice carrying across the courtyard. "The famous janitor with royal mail. Tell us, bro, are you cleaning floors for fun or spying for your rich Muslim friends?" The crowd erupted in laughter. Phones came out, screens flashing. Yusuf froze. Dozens of faces stared at him, some mocking, some curious, some uncomfortable. "I'm just doing my job," Yusuf said quietly. Mila stepped forward, smirking. "Then why do you get secret letters, huh? Maybe the terrorists pay you extra for mopping?" Her words sliced through the air like knives. Even some students who had laughed before went silent now. It was too far. Nora, standing at the back, clenched her fists. "Stop it, Mila! You don't even know him!" "Oh, shut up, charity girl!" Lucas snapped. He snatched the cleaning bucket and tipped it over, dirty water splashing across Yusuf's shoes. "Oops, guess the janitor needs to clean again." Everyone gasped. The phone camera zoomed in. Yusuf didn't move for a moment. Then, slowly, he bent down, righted the bucket, and began gathering his things. But this time, his hands trembled slightly. He stood up straight and looked Lucas dead in the eye. His voice was low, steady. "You think wealth makes you powerful, Lucas, but I promise you, you'll soon see what true power looks like." Lucas smirked. "Is that a threat, janitor?" Yusuf turned away, his eyes calm but glinting. "No, just a fact." As he walked off, the courtyard buzzed, half laughter, half uneasy silence. That night, Lucas uploaded the video with the caption, "When your janitor thinks he's a king." He had no idea how close to the truth he really was.
The atmosphere inside the principal's office was heavy. Mr. Weber stood nervously near his desk as two men in tailored suits entered behind Yusuf, representatives from Crescent Holdings. Lucas sat in a chair outside, summoned to wait, his palms sweating. Through the door, muffled voices drifted out, calm but powerful. Inside, Yusuf stood tall, his expression composed. "Mr. Weber," he began softly, "I came here not to humiliate anyone, but to understand how this school treats people who are different." The principal swallowed hard. "Mr. Al-Mansour, I had no idea." Yusuf raised a hand. "Please, just Yusuf." One of the men beside him placed a folder on the desk. Inside were documents showing that Crescent Holdings had recently become the primary investor in St. Alden's International's redevelopment project, worth millions. Mr. Weber blinked in disbelief. "So, your family, owns part of the school?" Yusuf nodded. "Yes, my father believed in education that builds bridges between cultures. But after what happened, I'm not sure this school deserves that." The principal's face went pale. "Please, I assure you, we will discipline the students." Yusuf sighed. "I don't want revenge. I want understanding." He reached into his pocket and placed the phone on the desk, the viral video playing silently. "I forgive them, but forgiveness doesn't erase the truth. This video shows more than bullying. It shows how easily people forget humanity." Outside, Lucas listened, guilt twisting in his stomach. He remembered every laugh, every cruel word. A moment later, the office door opened. Yusuf stepped out, his calm eyes meeting Lucas's. "You're the one who spilled the bucket, right?" Yusuf asked quietly. Lucas nodded, eyes down. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Yusuf's voice stayed gentle. You shouldn't have to know someone's father to respect them. Lucas's throat tightened. I was stupid. Yusuf smiled faintly. We all are, at some point. He turned to leave, his coat swaying behind him. For the first time, Lucas didn't see a janitor. He saw a man of true dignity.
The next morning, the school felt like a different place. Whispers followed Yusuf everywhere. Not of mockery this time, but of awe. Students moved aside respectfully as he passed. Even the teachers greeted him with quiet smiles. But Yusuf, as always, walked humbly, nodding politely, his hands folded behind his back. At lunch, a group of students gathered in the courtyard, the same place where Lucas had humiliated him. This time, Lucas stood in the middle, his head down. He looked around at the crowd, then at Yusuf, who stood a few meters away. "Can I say something?" Lucas asked, his voice trembling slightly. The students nodded. He turned toward Yusuf. I was wrong. I judged you for how you looked, for what you believed in. I thought cleaning floors meant you were beneath us, but now I realize I was the one with dirt in my heart." A heavy silence filled the courtyard. Yusuf's eyes softened. He said, "Apology accepted. But remember, I didn't do this to shame you. I did it to teach you something." Lucas nodded quickly. "You did. You really did." Nora stepped forward. "He's right, Lucas. Everyone here saw how you treated him, but maybe this can change us, all of us." Even Mila, who had filmed the video, looked down ashamed. "I deleted the video. I'm sorry, Yusuf." He smiled faintly. "I forgive you, but make sure the next video you post helps someone instead of hurting them." A few students clapped softly. Yusuf turned to leave but then paused. He said, "You know, in my culture, we say the true measure of a person is how they treat those who can do nothing for them. Remember that." As he walked away, the courtyard was silent, but this time it was a silence of respect. Lucas watched him go, realizing that no amount of wealth or fame could match that kind of strength.
A week later, the rhythm of the school had settled again, but nothing felt the same. For the first time, students greeted Yusuf warmly. Teachers smiled genuinely when they saw him. Even the principal, Mr. Weber, made a point to check on him daily. Yet Yusuf remained the same, humble, gentle, always doing his work with quiet grace. One afternoon, Lucas approached him while he was cleaning the library windows. "Hey, Mr. Yusuf?" he said awkwardly. Yusuf turned, smiling. "Just Yusuf." "Right. I wanted to ask if you'd come to our school's diversity assembly next week. They're talking about cultural understanding and stuff. I think it'd mean something if you were there." Yusuf raised an eyebrow. "You think they'd listen to a janitor?" Lucas shook his head. "No, I think they'd listen to you." Yusuf looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "All right, I'll come." That Friday, Yusuf stood on stage in the school auditorium. The same students who once mocked him now filled the seats, quiet, expectant. He took the microphone, his calm voice echoing through the hall. "When I first came to this country, I believed in hard work and kindness. But I quickly learned that people see what they want to see: your clothes, your accent, your religion." He paused. The hall was utterly silent. They forget that every person has a story. Some are born with privilege, others must earn respect. But the truth is, dignity isn't given by status, it's earned through character. He looked directly at Lucas and Mila in the front row. I forgive those who mocked me, because forgiveness breaks the chains of hate. And I hope you forgive yourselves too. When he finished, the entire hall stood in applause. Even the teachers clapped, some with tears in their eyes. Afterwards, Lucas approached him again. I don't think I'll ever forget this, he said quietly. Yusuf smiled. Good. That means it worked.
It was a crisp Saturday morning when luxury cars began arriving outside St. Alden's International High School. Students peeked through the windows in awe. Black Mercedes, sleek Range Rovers, and even a Rolls-Royce gliding silently up the driveway. Mr. Weber rushed outside, confused. What on earth? Then, from the central car, an older man stepped out. Tall, dignified, dressed in an elegant bisht over a tailored suit. His silver beard glimmered in the morning light. Yusuf was there, waiting. When their eyes met, the older man smiled warmly and opened his arms. My son, he said. It was Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Mansur, one of the most respected businessmen and philanthropists in the Middle East, and Yusuf's father. Students whispered in disbelief as photographers followed him in. The sheikh walked into the auditorium, where the school board and teachers had gathered nervously. I came, he began, in fluent English, not to discuss contracts, but to speak about values. He gestured toward Yusuf. My son wanted to learn how ordinary people live. I told him, if you want to understand dignity, start from the ground. And he did. He cleaned your floors, and in doing so, he cleaned hearts. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. He continued, his voice firm but kind. In our faith, wealth is not a crown, it is a test. My son reminded me of that, and perhaps he reminded all of you, too. Lucas sat near the back, eyes wide, his heart pounding with both shame and admiration. After the speech, the sheikh turned to Mr. Weber. My son tells me this school has potential, but potential means nothing without compassion. We'll continue our investment, but under one condition. This school will open a scholarship for underprivileged students, regardless of religion. Applause erupted. Yusuf smiled faintly, glancing toward Lucas and Mila. They both nodded, eyes glistening. For the first time, the school wasn't divided by culture, status, or belief. It felt united.
Months passed, and St. Alden's International High School was no longer the same. The walls that once echoed with arrogance and whispers of prejudice now carried laughter, respect, and understanding. The new Crescent Scholarship had already helped 10 students from immigrant families attend the school, including Nora's younger brother. Every morning, a golden plaque on the main corridor reminded everyone why. In honor of Yusuf al-Mansur, for teaching us that true wealth lies in humility. Lucas walked past that plaque every day. He had joined a community volunteer program, helping clean public parks every weekend. When people teased him for it, he simply smiled and said, "Someone once taught me that no job is beneath respect." As for Yusuf, he had returned to his father's company, not as a prince or heir, but as director of community projects, overseeing programs that created jobs for struggling migrants across Europe. He often visited St. Alden's quietly, without announcement. One morning, he found a small group of students repainting the school walls. "Mr. Yusuf," Nora called out, waving, "we're adding something new to the mural." He stepped closer. On the wall, painted in bold colors, were the words, "Respect has no uniform." Yusuf smiled, his eyes misting. "You've learned well," he said softly. As the wind rustled through the trees, he looked up at the school, once a place of pain, now a place of hope. He whispered a quiet prayer. "Ya Allah, thank you for turning humiliation into honor." Behind him, the bell rang. Students hurried past, laughing, greeting him, offering smiles. Yusuf turned to leave, his steps steady, his heart light. In a world that once judged him by his uniform, he had shown them something far greater, that dignity doesn't come from titles, but from the soul.